Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Hello. What is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, June 12th, and this is a Blinkers Off. What's up, dude?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, should be a good show today as we turn the page on the Triple Crown, but kind of recap it for you. And then there's a lot of stakes. Like how I would describe this week is like there's a lot of stakes races, and none of them really amount to a lot, but some of them are okay. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to do a bunch of them, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, we have 5 we're going to, and 4 of them are, it's kind of like the preview weekend for the Haskell. So we'll talk about the Pegasus here coming up, not that Pegasus, but the Monmouth Pegasus. And, but there are, we're going to go through it and you're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember that one. I remember that horse. So there's a few in there that, you'll remember. And so we'll go over that one. Obviously we need to recap what we saw live in person at Saratoga over the weekend. That, of course, is Sovereignty winning the Belmont. We'll kind of put a bow on everything. It's been what would you rank this Triple Crown? Like, I mean, as far as like a 1 through 10, would you put it like as high as you could without it being like, 1 Triple Crown, 2 Triple Crown on the line on Saturday? I mean, I feel like it kind of the journalism and then the journalism / sovereignty kind of, rivalry, if you want to call it that, really saved the day.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a 9. I think you reserve 10s for Triple Crown, achievements, but I think it's a 9. And if Sovereignty would have ran in the Preakness, I think it would have ended up being a 10. So that's the only kind of little blip on the radar. But you had an incredible Preakness anyway because of the circumstances. So I would put it as a 9. I thought the performances in all 3 of the races, when you add them up, were about as good as you're going to get.
Yes, Jay says too much rain. There was too much rain the whole Triple Crown. Let's be honest. Like and let's even go further. It's just been too much rain. Period. This spring / into summer. I mean, all it does is rain wherever we go. Whenever, like here home, it's rain. It's always raining. I feel like it's been a weird one this year. Certainly had. Listen, if you were there Saturday, the day started awful, like as awful as it could be. I mean. We didn't even leave our hotel until, they were well into the card, because what happened was we were, the scratches come out at say 8. We were up, we were ready to go. We were, like, okay, changes. And then you could look outside like, well, shit, we're going to see more than that. And then there's more changes. Oh, and then by the way, we take off races. And so then we don't even have, those pick 5, pick 4 sequences late, don't even have those. So, that in itself was a huge debacle, if you want to call it that. It's just unfortunate. After that, once we got to the track, we got there, I think it was like race 4 or so, race 4 or 5. And, we saw all the stakes, of course. From there on, and especially as the day went on, if you were like, if you weren't there in the morning or you would have no idea that, that there was rain. Honestly, by the time we got to the Belmont, like, why are they not running the Manhattan? They probably could have been saved, I would have thought. But, the Belmont Stakes in itself was perfect. There was no issues. The weather was great. It wasn't too hot. So overall, it was fine. The morning was brutal.
Yeah, I've never experienced a morning like that where it's just like you think you're done and then you're not. And then you think you're done and then you're not. And it's just... By the time we got to the track, I was like, I don't know that I really care anymore about that. But like about the races, but then like you get there and it's like, you're right. Like it's in just a weird way. We didn't plan it this way. So we literally could not get to the track because of work until we did. And when we got there, it's like, this is a beautiful day. Like the sun came out, the rain stopped. And then it was like, it was really good racing there to watch and stuff. And then, look, like when you get to the Belmont, you're right. It was like if you just turned on for the Belmont and say all you did was like, just I want to watch this one race, you would come on and you would go, wow, what a beautiful day there at Saratoga. Track looked great. Everything looked great.
By the way, Nitrogen can apparently run on the dirt too, or the slop, I guess, if you want to call it that. that's a beast of a horse, really.
Yeah.
You go back and look at that race, look at the time of that race. Like she was never out of first gear.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like, who was it that we were talking to? It was pretty similar time as the Met Mile. Maybe I'm dreaming that, wasn't it?
I don't know. I
feel like Vinny maybe told us that. Man, I don't want to call, but I feel like the time was very fast. And for a horse that was supposed to run on the turf, when they scratched that race off the turf and then kept her, we were like, well, there's no way Cassie's keeping a horse like that in this race unless she's going to win.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. We were sitting up there because the pick fours and pick fives, there were hardly any of them on the day, but there was that one. That one we were live to nitrogen, and I kept her in and singled her because it was just like, I think she'll run on it. There's no way they're going to run her on this if they're not really confident she's gonna be okay. And then up the backside, we were smiling like, yeah, we're gonna hit this pick five. It didn't pay much, but at least it was something, on the day, because it was like, yeah, she's moving. I thought she moved better on the dirt even than on the turf sometimes. So,
well, yeah, there you go. 20.26 seconds slower than the Met Mile. And this was a horse that wasn't supposed to run on the dirt.
Yeah.
Versus the Met Mile. Now, the track, it's hard to compare because the track was drying out throughout the day. And obviously, different surfaces even at some points with the way that it was drying out. But still, I think the point goes to be like, this was a legit performance and a legit horse, because the Met Mile is a Met Mile, and she wasn't even supposed to run on the dirt. So,
yeah,
very, very impressive race. We'll talk a little bit. Let's just go. We'll talk a little bit about the Met Mile here and coming up. How about we do that? So we'll save that kind of discussion, because there are a few key races that we can kind of go over, other than, of course, the Belmont Stakes. But let's not waste any more time, because let's get into the race. We're going to talk about the 2025 Belmont Stakes, and that's, of course, Sovereignty winning another leg of this Triple Crown. Then we'll have a little debate. I don't know if it's a debate, Halterman, but we're going to debate whether it's if he would have taken the Triple Crown, if he would have ran in all three legs. And then we're going to rapid fire, like you mentioned earlier, some picks for the weekend, including Monmouth Park and Santa Anita. Let's go. Yeah, that's. I don't know if it's a debate. I think we're both kind of in agreement here. But we will talk about that in detail coming up. All right, guys. On Saturday, of course, the final leg of the Triple Crown ran at Saratoga, going 1.25 miles. And, of course, your Derby winner won again. We saw the matchup with Journalism and Sovereignty, and Bieza was in there as well. The finishing order, exact same finishing order as the Kentucky Derby, very similar. The only difference, I would say, of the race as far as how it visually looked was that Bieza wasn't really getting too much closer to Journalism. It was very clearly, it was almost like, hey, can you run a race to show me exactly how these three horses rank up? And we got that race. For the moment, it almost like from the amount of time it took you to be like, oh, here we go. Here's the race we were all hoping for, Journalism versus Sovereignty. Before, by the time your mind said that internally, you're like, oh shit, never mind, it's over. There goes Sovereignty. Sovereignty wins the Belmont Stakes. Just no matter if you were against them, if you had them, whatever, you just got to tip your hat on that one. It was unbelievably impressive.
Yeah, best race of his career by far, and I thought it was the best race of Journalism's career as well, and that's what makes it that much more special. I with you, Journalism. Obviously you kind of watch the horse you have the most money on, or is going to make you the most money. So I was watching Journalism throughout. I did notice that Sovereignty was sitting much closer. I thought he would, and I thought, boy, that's going to be tough to beat with him sitting in third or fourth there.
Yeah,
but Journalism was just moving so well. He made such a nice move and just put away horses. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, we are going to see a big time performance, because, the worry going into it was, I'm worried that he might be a little tired. Maybe he doesn't fire his best race. And I knew right away he's going to fire a massive race. And he did. And not only did he get beat, he got just destroyed. Sovereignty tips out. He's following him. It's just like the Derby where we're sitting, 2-3 lengths behind. And then here comes Sovereignty. And that race was just over, like you said, before it ever began, because once you picked up Sovereignty coming from behind, you knew he was running 2 strides to 1 versus Journalism. It was just crazy how fast and how quickly, not only does he get to him, that he just puts him away after he gets to him.
Yeah, it was. You look at the form there, and I mean, it's you see the top of stretch. Journalism does have the lead, and you're right. Like it looked like he was going to run away with it. Not really run away with it. That's probably not fair to say, but it looked like he was going to be very hard to beat. And then, like he was, like here's the thing about it. We talked a lot about this. We walked. The thing about Saratoga, guys, is if you haven't been there, like there's a lot of walking. So hopefully you walk, because typically you're like, I don't want to mess with an Uber. Let's walk. Everything's really close by. I mean, relatively. So after the race, we're like, let's walk to wherever. So we were walking on the way home, and we're kind of talking about, how good Sovereignty really is. And the thing is, it's like we can sit here and talk about had he ran in the triple or in the Preakness, would he have won the Triple Crown? We'll talk about that here in a second. But the one thing we can say for sure, because we saw him in all 3 legs, if Sovereignty didn't exist, Journalism would have won the Triple Crown. So it's not like a debate of like, well, if he would have ran in this one, because again, if Sovereignty at the end of the day, you don't really know. Like, I think we all think he would have, because look how much better he was the 2 times he ran. But the one thing we can say for sure, if the horse named Sovereignty did not exist, Journalism wins the first leg, he wins the second leg, we know, and he wins the third leg. And so that's incredible performance. And he only has 1 win, Halterman, out of those 3 races to talk about.
Which tells you how good Sovereignty is, because Sovereignty beat him pretty decisively both times. It was a little closer in the Kentucky Derby, but it wasn't a race in this one. And that, like I said, that just shows you how good Sovereignty is and how he should have won it. I mean, he absolutely should have won it. And look, I can rarely, but I could probably think of a few, but I could rarely think of times where my horse rounds the corner and I'm like, oh, he's moving way better than anybody I have picked up so far. And he gets beat. And not only does he get beat, but the moment I see the horse that's coming from behind, I go, yeah, he's beat. And look, honestly, the Derby, when Journalism turned for home, I felt pretty good, but I wasn't like overly confident. I didn't think he was moving like at a pace that made me think no chance. I'll be honest, and again, it went away in a half second once I picked up Sovereignty. When Journalism turned for home, I thought there was like a 95% chance he was winning. I felt tremendous, and I was just smiling like, oh, this is going to be fun. And I kind of had it already written in my head. Boy, he's going to win 2 out of 3, and he's going to finish second in the Derby, and we'll blame the slop or this or that. But boy, what a horse this is going to be. And like I said, the millisecond I picked up Sovereignty, I said, oh, no, this is over. And this horse is not only going to beat him, this isn't going to be close. Like, his stride was just wildly awesome. Wildly awesome.
Yeah. He just, well, you said, you leaned over to me when we were watching it, which, by the way, shout out to Naira Betts off insane seats we had the whole day and really saved the day from a lot of different perspectives. But, we had the perfect view. Like, you got multiple screens we can watch, but obviously we're right there on the track, and I think you hit me or I hit you. I don't remember when it was like, look how close Sovereignty is, and you're like, oh man, like you then you realize, because you know how it is. Like, I'm watching BAs, that you're watching Journalism, you're seeing their trips at least early in the race, figure out where they're at, and then you start spotting around these other horses, and you're like, man, look how close Sovereignty is. Like, oh shit, like if he's got the same horse that he was in the Derby, we're in trouble no matter who you had. And sure as shit, man, what's amazing is he sat closer than he had, and then still had that same kick. And even Journalism got the jump on him, like exactly what you'd kind of hope for. Yeah. If you're on Journalism. And he's got like gears that we don't even know about. Sovereignty does, just once he kind of spots that horse, he's like, it's on. And that stride gets longer and longer. And when they hit the stretch, it's like they could have gone around another time and he was going to extend his lead. Like, this horse really is quite incredible. We just haven't seen him a ton, and kind of the way they've spotted him. But man, I think this is one of the better 3-year-olds that we've seen, in a long time.
The other thing that was really impressive to me, he just kind of shook the reins at him a little bit. Like he didn't get after him very hard in that race.
No.
It was very easy for him, and it shouldn't
Yeah.
be. It just simply shouldn't be that easy to pass a horse with that ease that is pulling away from all of the other horses. It's one thing if like they're all sitting there in a group and they're kind of struggling to finish. Journalism was finishing strong, and he just passed him like he was standing still. So it was I rank I said it on the recap. I rank that performance by Sovereignty higher than any Triple Crown race of performance that I've seen in person. I've never seen anything like that in person in a Triple Crown race where it was just pure dominance.
Well, I just to help the listeners here out, I want to confirm, or at least let you guys. Okay, so that would be including Kentucky Derby from Justify. That'd be including the Belmont from Justify. It'd be including the Belmont from American Pharoah. Those are, we saw both Triple Crowns in person. Those are when Halterman says the best Triple Crown race he's seen in person. That's I think that's why I wanted to make sure to make you guys understand. Like that's a very, very prestigious company.
I just feel like, and again, he didn't accomplish what Justify accomplished, but I think he would beat him in a race. Like I'm fairly confident in that. Now, Pharoah, I think Pharoah was a little better than Justify. So maybe you start to get into, but he doesn't remind me of American Pharoah as far as running style or stuff like that, but just like his pure, like just dominance. It reminds me a lot of American Pharoah. It really does. I just feel like I asked you on the walk home, I was like, who's better, Sovereignty or Justify? And he's like, oh, it's Justify. I was like, no, not like, who's better? Not who accomplished the most, but who's better? I'm betting Sovereignty if they're in a race because he just like, I don't know how. Look, at the end of the day, in those elite races like that, it's amazing when you can win them. But when you win them and you're in a dominant fashion and you're beating a horse that you just pointed out a couple of minutes ago would have won the Triple Crown if Sovereignty wasn't around. I mean, a lot of times it's who you beat, and you've got two races there where he has defeated a horse that is very tough to beat, and he beat him easily in both of them.
So does this mean Japan Street would have won the Triple Crown, do you think?
Yeah, people are all like, in the comments about Japan Street when you talk about Sovereignty, and I don't view it quite like that. I am excited to kind of see what he does, but I just think Sovereignty, I just think he ran just not a very good race in the Florida Derby.
The thing about this Triple Crown, as we kind of look at it in the big picture, that's been really cool to see is like the way journalism has been the most perfect measuring stick you can, because it's like he runs like this, like almost like a computer simulation where it's like, hey, this is the race I want he's going to run. Boom, put it in there. Now, obviously, the Preakness, that was like, there was a glitch in the system, and he still managed to win.
Human error.
Yeah, an error. But the point is like he runs the same race pretty much every time. Like he's very like automatic with how he runs, and so whenever you're like, okay, whenever Sovereignty wasn't in the race, he kind of, even though he about fell over, he dusted the Preakness. Then you look at how Sovereignty dusts him when so I just feel like we have such a clear like version of what these like the rank, how they are ranked right now. And those three being, Sovereignty, Journalism, Bieza. Let's talk a little bit about Bieza, a horse that I picked to win, and the whole, I wasn't the only one. Look at the value. It was almost 7-2, I think, and you had 2-1, and you got 5-2 on the top three. So they're all relatively close as far as the betting options go. I would put the first two horses there, A plus efforts. Bieza, he's just, I don't know, mentally has some issues to work out, and I think Pratt has kind of acknowledged that. Runs in spots, like he looks good at spots, and then other spots he doesn't. What do you think? I mean, do you think he's the real deal that just has some maturing to do, or do you think he is overrated in every sense?
I think he ran third behind two really good horses. I think that's all that it comes down to. I think for Baeza backers, you got the same kind of race he's been running. Yeah, he was a little bit goofy, but still, I mean, he still runs a triple-digit buyer, right? I just don't think he's as good as those two. And that's kind of the view I had on it last week. It's just like everybody's like, yeah, he's a late full and he's going to develop and this and that. It's like I just went into his, like, if journalism runs his race, he's not as good, and that's okay because there's not a lot of horses that are. I do think if you backed him, you're probably looking there going, or you're sitting there going, what is his deal? Why is he so far behind? I wanted him to be where Sovereignty is. And I think that's more than fair, but he's also, it's to a point at some point where it's like, you got to quit making the excuses and he's got to go out there and actually win. Right. Like he turned from home in the San Antonio Derby with every chance in the world to win. And he couldn't beat journalism. The Derby, it's all about, trip, this and that. And now it's that again. And it's just like, I think he's just third best of a really, really good group. He reminds me a lot of Hard Spun, who was in a group with Curlin and Street Sense. And, he was Hard Spun was a nice horse, but he wasn't Curlin or Street Sense. And that kind of is Baeza to me right now at this moment.
Yeah. I mean, you and I talked about that too. It's like, that's what's so crazy about this year's Triple Crown, at least these top three, is there's not even that hard of a stretch to say like Baeza would have been like a horse like that would have won one of these legs, in a normal year. Like he probably, maybe not, maybe it wasn't maybe it was this race, without, like say journalism would have not, they opted to not run, journalism in this leg. And then Sovereignty, like the example you used earlier, doesn't exist. So it's like, well, Baeza wins, right? Because like, here's the thing. These three are very clearly ahead of anyone else in the race. And so it's just like you said, tough luck for Baeza. I like him still. I'll be waiting and seeing with Baeza a little bit more now. I think he's got talent. Even Pratt said that after the race. Like if we could just figure it out a little bit, because like he runs in spots. Said he doesn't break, and then he's back, and then he runs up, and then he's get back, and he's on the bit, he's off the bit. So it's like if they can just get him to figure it out. And I don't know. I'll let you say it if you want to about the training situation, but maybe that's a regard as well.
I mean, I know who I would want out of Bill Mott, Michael McCarthy, and John Sheriffs, and I'll leave it at that. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, I do think don't give up on him, right? But if he's in a race with journalism or Sovereignty, just think about what you've seen so far and think about what it's going to take to turn the tables. And I don't know that it's going to, maybe it will, by November he could do it or something like that. But he's just a little bit of a cut below based on what we've seen on the track. And that's all we can really go by at this point. Now, can he get better? Sure. But could journalism and Sovereignty also get better? Yeah. I mean, horses get better as they age. Doesn't matter that, hey, Baeza is just a little bit younger than them. He's not going to improve in some kind of rapid rate that they're not going to improve at. Either he will improve or he won't, right? That's how it is. All these horses are still young when it comes to improvement, and that's why you see horses tend to get a little faster when they go later in their 3-year-old season to the 4-year-old season.
Let's talk a little bit less about the rest of the field. The last four there, not surprised. Hill Road was like kind of the horse that was quote unquote closing, but just obviously not good enough to get anywhere near those front horses. I think the disappointment of the race, I mean, although it's hard to say disappointment because he probably finished where he should have, and that's Rodriguez. He finished fourth behind the other three, but he didn't have any excuses as far as just simply not, he kind of maybe being what you thought he was or should have been maybe, because he got the lead very easily over Crudo. Crudo could not keep up with him, and of course he finished last. Rodriguez, he had the lead, and then he kind of ran after that, and they passed him, the three main ones. But I'd say Rodriguez is average. Hill Road, all those, he's average. The other three, no thanks. I just think it's such a clear standout with those top three over these other ones.
I think it was a predictable race from both Rodriguez and Hill Road, right? Like they both just kind of they ran okay. even we were kind of on record saying, man, even if Rodriguez kind of gets that lead, I just don't think he's good enough. And he kind of wasn't, but it was also his first race since April. So I think he'll move forward and get better. I think if you find him spots where he avoids those big horses, he's going to be tough. Hill Road just wasn't good enough. There wasn't anything on the paper that said Hill Road was going to be fast enough. And that's where it was with me for him. I like him as like a racehorse. I think he's fine. Like when he won the Peter Pan, that's great. But he's not this type, and there was nothing that said he was. And so he just kind of did what he did. Right. And I think it was very predictable. And I think everybody knew the other three, they just weren't, they were filler. They weren't really going to have a chance in this race.
It's still kind of funny that Uncaged even outfinished Crudo. It's like if you looked at that field, you're like, well, Crudo is interesting. It seems like he's got some talent. Look at Uncaged. Why is he even in the race? And the Pletcher horses, although Pletcher did warn everybody, he said, this is not the strongest contingent I've had in this race. And they finished last and second to last. All right. Next question here. Let's talk about, this is like the Triple Crown is great and all, but we're only halfway through the year. So we've got another half of this year to go. And that includes races, of course, like the Haskell, the Travers, the Pennsylvania Derby, and, I'm missing. I know there's Pacific Classic if you want to throw that in there with some of the West Coast horses, and of course the Breeders' Cup Classic that ran out there as well. McCarthy even mentioned, he's like, hey, this was kind of in Sovereignty's backyard. Maybe we'll see him again in our backyard for the Breeders' Cup. How do you kind of one, do you think there's anything journalism can do, or BAs, I guess, to kind of turn the tables on Sovereignty? Because it's like, oh, it's this great kind of duel we have between these two. It's like, rivalry. It's like, it's really not, because Sovereignty just beats the crap out of him every time he faces them. Mm-hmm. Do you think that anything can change between now and say November to where journalism can turn the tables on Sovereignty? Because the way they've campaigned Sovereignty, it's like, yeah, we're pissed that he didn't run in the Triple Crown all the way, but man, they've now, looking forward, they've got this horse kind of ready to run in all the big spots.
I mean, the answer is yes. Everything could change in a heartbeat anytime, right? But I think when you look at it as of right now, I couldn't sit there and tell you here are the factors that will change this, right? I mean, at this moment, you've got a big kind of gap to make up, because, like you said, not only is Sovereignty winning, he's beating him pretty easily, and he's beating him without really trying to, exert himself fully. But what I'll say is, when you get out to Del Mar, it can change. Tracks can change, different setups can change, things like that. And all I have to do is look at Fierceness versus Sierra Leone, where Sierra Leone couldn't get to him and really wasn't close to getting to him at Saratoga, and he beat him in Del Mar. So, I mean, change of venue, change of tracks, change of dynamics, that definitely could change things. But look, right now, as I sit here, there's no way I could say, yeah, journalism's going to beat Sovereignty at the Breeders' Cup. Yeah, I wouldn't have said that about Fierceness versus Sierra Leone either. Like, Sierra Leone was not a horse that I was worried about last year, the Breeders' Cup. So,
yeah,
it's just going to take, a different venue, and maybe it's going to take Sovereignty not running very well like he did in the Florida Derby, and then maybe you can beat him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we've not seen it. We can see it's not like he's unbeatable, although he seems that way at the moment. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see I don't think we're going to see these two match up again until the Breeders' Cup. If I'm this is just my opinion. If I'm the connections of journalism, I'm staying as far away as I can from Sovereignty until that last race, or until the last race of this year, because we kind of know where we stand now, as far as if I own the horse, if I train the horse, we kind of like, hey, we can't beat him. But the only, I would try to get my horse. He's had an insane campaign so far this year. Get him kind of refreshed, run some softer races, get him ready to go, and then where you can, have him peak there at the Breeders' Cup and hope, because I don't think you're going to beat him if you say, hey, let's run him back in the Travers. Like, I don't know if I like that idea, because I think we know where he stands. Maybe wait.
I mean, the Travers does feel like a race he should run in, but yeah, I'm with you on that. But look, like the Pacific Classic, what if like Nisos is in that race? I have no idea if they're going to try to stretch him out or keep him sprinting or whatever. But like, what if he shows up like that? There's not going to be an easy spot for journalism. Like, he's going to have to run pretty well, unless you don't have a real good horse like last year in the Pacific Classic, where journalism probably could run backwards and win. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I would love to see the rematch or another matchup, I guess you could say. But I'm with you. Like, probably Breeders' Cup is what it sounds like.
Well, it's great for racing. No matter, anytime those two are in a race together, that's really good for racing because the hype is there, and all things considered, the Belmont was bet pretty well as far as money went in because of even besides the weather. So, I mean, anytime these two face each other, you're going to have what quote unquote the rivalry kind of set up. So, and we'll kind of. I'll also say this: final thoughts, because we'll talk about horses that could impact the Classic here in a second. But final thoughts on the Belmont and the Triple Crown in itself.
Like I said, I thought it was about as good as it absolutely could be, with the one caveat being what happened with just purposely skipping the Preakness with the Derby winner. I mean, that was a downer, but journalism did kind of serve as the savior of running in all three and keeping that alive. So I thought it was as good as it could be without a Triple Crown win. I enjoyed it. I think compared to the last 2 or 3 Triple Crowns, this is far, far, far better than what we've seen.
It is again, all I can speak is from my experience. And since I've been in racing, this is easily the most excited and kind of anticipated Triple Crown that I've been a part of, aside from Pharaoh and Justify, right? Because obviously anytime you have a Triple Crown live, it's going to be more exciting. But to have like this kind of rivalry and to have a horse that wins 2 of the 3 legs and did not run in one of them, didn't get beat, just did not run, it certainly adds for intrigue, and something that I feel like it was nice to have comparable to an 80-1 shot win in the Kentucky Derby. So
I think as a fan, you just want to see good performances. Like, I didn't pick Sovereignty to win that race, but I left happy from a fan standpoint because I saw something great. And some of these races you've kind of left in the last 2, 3, 4 years going I hated that, like even a couple of them we cashed on and I'm just like, I hate that that's the Derby winner this year or Belmont winner or whatever, so you want to see something special when you watch these big races. And I think we got 3 special races this year.
Yeah. And you had very clearly the best, I'd say it's the first in many years at this point that you can say definitively that the best horse won each leg. Like, no debate of like a bad trip. And I mean, there was bad trips, but there's no like, hey, if you got a better trip, the best horse, lost, you would have won. No, the best horse won each race. Like, no doubt about it. The best horse. So there's that. And last thing I want to ask you, because, there was a lot of talk. We talked about it. What do we do with the Triple Crown after, they admittedly. And here's the thing, like Belmont, there's no way he's sitting there. There's no way he won't say it probably, but there's no way he's sitting there thinking, man, we should have ran in the Preakness. We should have ran. We should have tried. Yeah. So where are you at with the whole Triple Crown argument? Because in one regard, it feels very healthy because like we've had this very strong, 3 races. Journalism obviously wasn't scared away from running in all 3 races. Sovereignty runs in 2 of the 3. But to that point, how healthy is it when you have a trainer that's admittedly with a horse that very clearly he had to know is got a good chance to win the Triple Crown, decides not to run in the second leg? So kind of where do you stand with that?
I don't really care what they do is where I'm at with it. I really don't. If you move it, you move it. If you keep it the same, you keep it the same. I've kind of come full circle. I don't really care. Like, you know what I mean? Like it the problem is like you look at it and you go, it's weird. We had a weird year where like you had the worst of when we're talking about keeping a Triple Crown together, the worst thing happened of the Derby winner skips it. And they literally, he said, we just didn't even think about it. We didn't care. And we didn't want to. And then you had another horse in journalism that shows you it is very possible to run 3 races in 5 weeks and have your best race be the 3rd one of the series. And, like you said, could have won the Triple Crown for no sovereignty. But so you had the best of both, or I guess the worst of one world and the best of one world. Yeah. So it's really weird, right? But I get I just hope they leave it, honestly. But if they change it, they change it. I'm done worrying about it or caring about it.
Well, I don't know if people have seen it, but it won't be the next year because it's not going to be done yet. The Breeders' Cup, obviously going to Belmont too. But once the Belmont's done, like Rob says, I think the way that track is going to be, it's going to be the talk of the world really in racing. Once that track is done, Derby we know we can get horses at the Derby, and we know, I think, especially in the years to come, the recent years to come, no issue is going to be getting horses to the Belmont. That track is going to bring people in. So the issue will still remain that second leg, right?
Yeah.
Can we get horses to run in the Preakness? And of course, they're going out of the business. Well, they might be going out of business, but the track itself is getting redone. So we're going to go to Laurel. I don't know if that will help or hurt. Seems like it wouldn't help, but we'll find out. So can we get horses to run in the second leg? That seems to be if you want to focus on something in racing or whatever, that to me feels like the focus. How do you get horses to run in the Preakness? Because the Belmont's not going to be an issue, whether it be at Saratoga or the brand new Belmont Park. Derby's not an issue. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get horses to run in the second leg? That's really what it comes down to.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And that's always going to be the problem because of a number of things. I think spacing the race is a problem, but also it's just, I thought it was a huge telling point when they were like, we don't really care about the Preakness. We'd rather win the Travers. You know what I mean? So I think the Preakness, where it's at, stuff like that. And this is not my opinion, but seems to be a growing concern, is that the Preakness doesn't have that prestige for whatever reason. And to comment on, I think it was Rob said that the Belmont not being at Belmont has taken some sizzle out of it. I love Saratoga. I wish they would run it at Saratoga every year for my selfish reasons, because I get in a bonus trip to go up there. But I do agree that the Belmont should be at Belmont Park. So with the Belmont at Saratoga is a little strange. We can wait till the 4th of July or whenever and go back up to Saratoga, but I mean, I love the bonus trip. I wouldn't change, the trips we've had there. They've been fantastic, especially this year was maybe one of the best ever. But he's right. The Belmont should be at Belmont Park. And until it's back there, it is always going to kind of feel a little strange that it's a quote unquote Triple Crown. Yeah.
I've been wondering too, there's a few of those races that we have. It's later in the year, especially, that are like the win and you're in, I guess, whatever they call it for the Preakness, like you punch your ticket. Like, what if we had more, again, just random ideas, but what if you had more of a, maybe not like to the depth in the kind of how the Derby one is, but one with points that you could get towards the Preakness, or maybe it's not even points. Maybe it's more win in your ends like the Breeders' Cup does, but have more races throughout the year that are geared towards, say, hey, we have this horse. It's I don't know if he wants to go a mile and a quarter, but I certainly think he can run a mile 16th or whatever. So these races that are focused on getting to the Preakness versus the Derby, and maybe you have trainers that start pointing their horses more towards that race. Obviously, you'll have Derby, horses, but I think the issue to me is not necessarily getting Derby horses to run, because hopefully you have the Derby winner run, but that didn't have the case this year. Mm-hmm. But how do you get those actually good horses running, that pointed to the Preakness all year?
Yeah, I change the mindsets of everybody in racing would kind of be the only answer, because I mean, I get what you're saying, and I think it does make sense, and I think anything could help, and I don't think it's a bad idea. But the problem is, once the Breeders' Cup is over, all you talk about is the Derby. It's just that's all anybody cares about. And then once it's just that weird feeling of, once it's over, just the vast majority of these people, they just look on to further. They're just like, I'm not running back in that. You know what I mean? And so I don't know what the answer is. I don't think what you said is a bad answer. I just don't think. I think it's more of a mindset than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can incentivize it, but I think at the end of the day, people are just like Derby and then however it falls after that, it falls.
It's funny because when you hear people talk about it in racing, it's like, they still hold a lot of prestige to the Preakness. At least the racing people do.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like it's still a Grade 1 Triple Crown race. Like, so it's like, why are we not running more horses in it, or why are we not pointing more horses in it? I don't know, but I don't want to get into the whole conversation with the Triple Crown, but
No.
that is something that I do feel like is that's the issue. It's that second leg, and how do we convince people that it is an important race? All right, let's go. I wanted to go to the Met Mile, even though that was kind of a lame race with only a few horses running in it. But talking about the Classic earlier with these 3-year-olds, maybe a few of these that might point towards the Classic out of here. Raging Torrent needed to do nothing but go to the lead, and that's what he did. Fierceness could not get the job done. As we've had time to kind of digest this race, do you look at this race as, wow, Raging Torrent was amazing, or Fierceness did not perform?
Oh, I think Raging Torrent deserves most of the credit here. I think he got to the lead. He got comfortable. It was a race that really kind of fit him and what he likes to do more than the other horses entered. And I think that was a big part of it. And look, I mean, I get people are disappointed in Fierceness. But Raging Torrent, when he gets comfortable on the front end, he is really, really tough to pass. I will say that. And again, I think Fierceness wants to go a lot longer than this. I think 1.125 miles, 1.25 miles is where you see the source at his best. Not to say that if he didn't run a little bit better, he could have won, because I think he could have, but I wasn't overly disappointed in him. I thought he just got beat by a horse that's a little bit better suited for a mile, and when he's at his game, he's really, really tough to pass.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at it. I kind of look at it both ways. I'm more harsh on Fierceness than you are, it sounds like, but you got to give a lot of credit to Raging Torrent. Like and going into it, even like as they were getting close to the gate, we were like, well, how is Raging Torrent 8-1? Like, that's
Crazy.
insane value. Like I liked him. I liked the horse, and frankly, at 8-1 is a play. I thought he was more dangerous than White Barrio, which obviously proved to be right. With that said, my whole thing is, it's like Fierceness, like it kind of depends on how you view Fierceness, I think, too. Like, if you think he's like the Classic winner or the number one horse in training or whatever, then he should win that race. I mean, I even hit you on the shoulder in the turn. I was like, almost like we got him right where we want him. Look at him. He's lined up. He set off. Here he comes. We're going to see him kind of come get Raging Torrent. And he couldn't. And, that's, to me, that's the disappointing part with it, is I thought, if he is what you thought he was, how does he not get by? Now, it is one of the rare occurrences that Fierceness didn't win and still ran a race, right? A lot of times with Fierceness, it's like, hey, if he doesn't win, it means he ran up the track. And I feel like we have gotten past that, because even in the in races like the Classic, where he ran a great race and got beat by Sierra Leone, like you mentioned, he still ran a good race. And this maybe is somewhat similar to that. I agree, this isn't his kind of his jam. He wants to go a little bit longer. Same regard, like I don't know. I still left disappointed in Fierceness.
Well, I think that's more than fine, because he was a big favorite, and he looked like a winner, and he didn't win. So yeah, you have every right to be. And I would say that, I'm a little disappointed in him as well, because of what you just laid out. But yeah, look, I don't remember who it was. Somebody texted me, he's like, that horse just doesn't like to fight. I was like, come on. You haven't been paying attention if you think that's what happened here. Like, he's been in a dogfight, the last 2 or 3 races before this, and he was able to do it. Like, this isn't the old, he quit. I mean,
no, I don't look at it like that. Go watch a Travers last year. I mean,
yeah,
you talk about a fight. Like, I didn't. Again, it was weird, because it's like, you don't really, if there's no raging torrent in the race, then again, that's easy to say. But like if it's like, hey, like Fierceness did his thing, he kind of cruised and he got the lead. But the problem was there was there. And so, good news for him is he probably won't have to face Raging Torrent in the classic, or at least if he does, I don't necessarily consider him as a threat.
Right.
I think they're going to probably point toward the mile with him. So, or the dirt mile, I should say. So I definitely, I guess there's that, right? I mean, I think Wide Barrio disappointed at that, where he was. I think Just a Touch is turning it into a pretty nice horse, although obviously not as good as Fierceness. But I do like Just a Touch, considering kind of he's kind of gone full circle a little bit with kind of the hype, and then he disappointed in the Derby, and then he's kind of, I think Cox has gotten him running really well right now. But yeah, I don't know. Fierceness to me was a disappointment. I definitely am going to. I still like. Here's the thing with him, man. Like, I just don't. I don't know. Like, betting him is just always going to be a little dicey. Like it's just not. I guess that's the whole point of what I'm saying is he's not that horse where, hey, he lines up and you're like, listen, he's a single, he's going to win, because at the same day, like, I don't have the confidence in him that I maybe wished I did.
I get it. And I think that makes sense. I understand why anybody would say that for sure. One other thing I want to mention when we talk about really the whole middle of this card, the track was changing every race and it was kind of a mess until we really got to like the Belmont. It was kind of a mess. So that's another factor. Take some of these results on this day with a grain of salt a little bit.
I did wonder that myself. I was like, if we would have gotten the track, we got the Belmont, would the results had been different? I don't know. Maybe. I
don't know. And I don't think any of us can know. Cause like somebody, I think it was Max mentioned, like the times came back slow. Max, the track was a disaster for a lot of that card. And so, but again, like the time of like the 5th race versus the time of a 6th race versus the time of the 8th race, the track was rapidly changing, because I don't think we can kind of overstate it. It went from a downpour to a beautiful day in like a second. And so, which was great. And by the time they got to the Belmont, the track, I'm sure it had more moisture than they maybe wanted to let on, but it looked good. Like the track looked like a regular racetrack. It was a mess though, until that happened.
Yeah. So there's there's certainly, it makes it almost impossible. That's why we were talking about earlier the comparison to nitrogen running on the, versus Fierceness and Raging Torrent in the Met Mile. It's like, it's just such a impossible comparison, because when nitrogen ran, the track looked way worse even when they ran, and then obviously the track looked way better from the time Raging Torrent and Fierceness ran that you had in the Belmont. And so it's just it's really hard. It was so weird too, because of the cancellations, we had like that, we were like asking a lot of the same questions I'm sure you guys were. It's like, why are they not making these like less than like an hour between posts, basically? But because of the TV, or even like, why are they not just cancel they shouldn't have, but like cancel, if they're going to cancel a couple of them, cancel all of them, run them the next day. But it's like, because of the Belmont Stakes and it being on TV, and you had certain time slots that they had to run, they had to basically take that Belmont Stakes and then go backwards, even though there was races missing now between the two. And so, it made it interesting. And that's kind of why you had such a you still had like the track changes throughout the day, because it was still ran at the same time. That is, even though we had tracks or races missing.
Yeah. So you would have it like an hour, so they can do more things to the track in between the races than they could normally as well. So it's a weird day when it comes to that. You don't, and I'm not saying give Fierceness a pass. I'm not saying that at all. Like, he still was right there with a chance. But what I'm saying is, kind of don't totally hate a horse because of one performance that happened during the middle of this card. That's kind of where I'm at. And the same way that goes with Friday. Friday, about the 7th or 8th race on, all the way through Belmont Day, all the way and really up until the Belmont itself. Be careful being too harsh on horses, because on Friday they sealed the track and the speed won every race after that. So it's like if you had horses that were closers and they ran fifth, and you thought, well, how in the hell did they run fifth? That's kind of what happened. So you kind of got to take those races with a grain of salt. Can just kind of remember, in the back of your mind when they show up again. That could have been some weird stuff. Maybe just kind of look at it as a whole. What have they done in their career versus, maybe they're off form because they didn't run well on Belmont Day or Acorn Day. There was some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, good cheers. Looking for another shot, I would say, after Friday.
Well, hey, we were watching Good Cheers, a good example. I'd totally forgotten about that. We were watching that, and before she even got to the first turn, I was like, oh, she hates her life right now. Like, This looks bad. Yep. And she just looked like she wanted off of that track. And that's kind of the point that sometimes it's hard to kind of explain, but off tracks at different places, they definitely can play differently. And just because a sloppy track and a good track, it's all different. And she, I think we kind of assume, well, sloppy track, this is gonna be great. And then you watch the races before she's starting to run, and you start to realize, oh, it's speed, it's a conveyor belt. I don't know now. So
I was going to show you this too, because I played this, and I of course didn't hit it because I was wrong. But the Met Mile into the Belmont, 162. That's $5, so obviously cut that down. But that's how good that thing can pay. Now again, Raging Torrent won, but Sovereignty obviously was very gettable. So I'm sure many people hit that. If you like that one, 165 on that Acorn one. But I just thought, really pretty gettable race, especially if you spread or you were against Fierceness. Probably get to there, not too difficult. 162.50 on a $5 daily double. So I thought that was pretty damn impressive, really.
Yep. I would have had
also one other thing. What'd you say?
I said before the race, I would have had more trouble getting to Sovereignty because I had Raging Torrent second. I could have played a 2x2, but I would have been by A's of journalism. So,
well, there you go. I mean, I don't think many people didn't like Raging Torrent. I mean, it depends if you played him or not, but I think we all were like, that's a horse that fits this race as far as the mile, like that's a mile specialist. And I thought the odds were insane based on that where they were at. The last thing I'll say, at least I will say it because this is me like talking out loud because I need to. We need to stop talking, or I need to stop talking about some of these horses that ran in the Woody Stevens, because I feel like the Woody Stevens was somewhat of a disaster once again. And as far as these 3-year-olds being like, oh, that horse is good, that horse is not good. Like, Mad Cat Road might be the most consistent horse out of that group. He just runs his race every time. He's not very good, but he's better than a lot of these horses.
I think Patch Adams, now that he's cut back, I think now that we kind of can keep him where he needs to be, I don't think he's awful.
I mean, him and really, I think Mad Cat Road. I mean, I don't like some of these horses. Like, let's just go through the list here. I'll bring it up on the screen. But Chancer McPatrick needs to retire.
I don't think he needs to retire. I just don't think he's just not very good.
He needs to retire. He needs to quit. I hate that horse. You've got Macho Music was disappointing after that. I thought he ran well those last couple. Citizen Bull, I forgot he was in the race. Honestly, even after the race, we were like, oh yeah, where did Citizen Bull finish?
I was shocked he finished fourth because I never saw him in the race.
Look at his number. He never got a call because he was right there, kind of middle, fifth. Yeah. Never really moved. Honestly, he kind of ran the same way around the track. I mean, you had the Mad Cat Road and Patch Adams ahead of him the whole way. They never, he never passed them. And then Big Truz passed him. So the only horse that he sort of passed was T-Craft, who was ahead of him kind of early in the race. But yeah, I mean, he never even got a call. Again, Gunmetal's pretty disappointing there, I would say. But Chancer McPatrick, the pace, look, the pace, they went 22 and 44, 108 and 4. And he never picked his feet up. I mean,
Yeah.
like if he finishes, say he finishes fourth behind Big Trez and, you know, where Citizen Bull finish, you're like, well, he sucks, but like he just needs weaker, you know, like competition. Like he certainly needs class relief, but to not even move, like this is not the same horse that he was.
Yeah.
Like something's gone awry with him, right? It has to have.
Yep. Yeah.
I agree. I think Patch Adams Madcat Road will win. I know this was a stakes race, a grade 1, but like they will win some sort of big time stakes race this summer. I would certainly believe Patch Adams will, well, now that he's spotted him in the right spots. Madcat Road, again, I think he might get there because he just runs like a very consistent effort every time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's bad. I think he's not this level, but I certainly could see him winning, especially out west this summer. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. What's crazy, dude, is from a 3-year-old, like out of the end of the day, after all the dust has settled, Madcat Road is probably his best 3-year-old.
Right.
After all that, who would have thought Madcat Road? What is that?
Oh,
He's the one.
I think Rodriguez is his best, but I mean, Madcat Road has been the one that just consistently went out there and ran and you know, was able to put together consistent efforts where he didn't run a race where you go, gosh, that was awful, you know, like the rest of his did. So, yeah, no, it is kind of weird when you think of it like that. That Madcat Road's been the most productive. Him and Rodriguez really wasn't, you know, anybody when the season started as well. So, Madcat Road's an interesting one. He just can't find a way to win, but he always runs a race where you go, man, he could have done it, you know, but he just can't.
Yeah, he is. I mean, again, look at his odds here. He was 11-1, and I mean, he continues to kind of, not really surprised is probably not the best word, but run better than you expect each and every start. And it's like you kind of you feel like you can't really not use him because it's Bob Baffert and he runs good enough to win these races. It feels like a lot of times, but at the same time, you're like, I can't pick him, you know? So he certainly is a little bit of a dilemma, I guess, but, I don't know, maybe the distance for him too. They're narrowing in on his distance as well.
You know, I guess there's goal oriented for the summer. He might be one to keep an eye on as well for Baffert.
That's true. I mean, Madcat Road certainly. I would, through the first 6 months, I personally do Madcat Road, Rodriguez, and then goal oriented. So,
yeah.
But still, 3 horses that certainly February you weren't thinking, right?
No.
Barnes has been working on the all-weather track.
Barnes.
I don't know what they're doing with that one. He's too bad he's too shitty to run on the dirt. Now they're running him on the all-weather. We'll see though. That is a little bit of the look at the first, not just the Triple Crown, 6 months of racing, but some of these 3-year-olds, maybe some of these looking towards the Classic, others not. What the Classic might look like. It's been a hell of a start to 2025. There is a look at the Triple Crown, and congrats to Sovereignty in the Belmont. Well, are you glad it's over, Halterman?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
You are glad it's over?
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite time, summer, coming up, man.
It's true. Summer racing. The summer racing should be pretty good.
Look,
and the thing too, man, like we got through the Triple Crown with they're all healthy.
Yeah.
Should see them several more times this summer.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we should be shaping up for some pretty good Haskell, Travers, Pacific Classic. Even these divisions, as we talked about with the sprinters and the one-turn horses, seem like they're looking like they're going to be pretty solid as well underneath. So,
I love it.
Yeah, Nysos. I mean, that could be the wild card. No, I don't even know if I want to call him a wild card, but Nysos certainly could be a big time horse this summer too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch out there, and then you got the 2-year-olds are coming up, and I mean, the summer's always the most fun for me.
Plus, you get to go back to Saratoga.
There you go.
All right, time for rapid fire real quick here, guys. Presented by racingdudes.com. Make sure you head on over to the website. And again, summer racing is here. So now it's a great time to become a premium subscriber for as low as $70 a month. We will, I think we're going to probably bring back for the Travers. So this summer we'll give away another $1,000 to somebody lucky subscriber. Again, you get all our betting Bibles absolutely for free. We'll have more coming up. When will be the next betting Bible? Haskell?
Yeah, Haskell will be next. Yeah.
So Haskell be the next one next month. So make sure you go get a subscription over at racingdudes.com. Again, summer racing, get that 90-day one so you can cover all the summer racing in Saratoga coming up. All right, Halterman, let's go to Monmouth Park. We got it kind of speaking of the Haskell preview day. And we'll start with a preview race with the Pegasus. This is race number 8. Do I have it on the screen? Yes.
Almost.
Yes. This is race number 8. It's called the Naira Bets Pegasus. That's what it's called. 150K for 1/16 miles for 3-year-olds going to field of 8. 8-5 on the horse, the monster beater, Garamond, who beat Cornucopian last out, Halterman. This is the freak of the race, right? 8-5. Where are you going?
I'm going him. Garamond on top for me. I mean, forget about the Cornucopian thing, but I thought, look, when this horse debuted, I thought, okay, he's going to be pretty decent. The Gotham was not great, but he came back and ran really well in that allowance. And I think, I think stretching out to mile 16 is going to help. I think Flavian Pratt getting aboard for second straight race is a good sign. I like 3 quite a bit. So give me Garamond in this spot. I think he's going to be ultra tough.
3 is a pretty big standout from any number perspective as well, I felt like. So,
agreed.
Yeah, give me the 3 as well. I hate to chalk out too much. I feel like that's gonna be a consistent factor as I go through this card because I don't know. I think this horse. I like the 4 a little bit for Pletcher. Like from a pace standpoint, I think the horse makes sense, but I just not convinced the horse is fast enough to do it. So I think that's where I end up with the 4. But yeah, the 3 Garamond. By the way, it makes no difference to me whatsoever that Cornucopian was the horse that he beat because whatever. But I just like the way this horse is starting to come out like in himself. 6.5 furlongs, mile, stretching out once again here. Has tactical speed, but also has definite speed. And again, with having Pratt back aboard, I think he will be ultra dangerous. So yeah, give me a 3 here as well, Halterman. Garamond, and again, very interesting horse, I think, as it relates to the Haskell coming up after next month. All right, race number 9, the Monmouth Stakes, 150K for going 1/18 miles on the turf for the 3-year-olds and up. And you've got a field of 8 with one also eligible. 7-5 on, hey, we know these two, Pratt and Chad Brown, redistricting the 3. Can the class relief be enough to get this horse into the winner's circle?
Well, I wanted to bet him last Saturday, so I might as well just bet him this Saturday. Redistricting was in the 3rd race that was ended up being off the turf, and so he was not, obviously did not run there, so he's going to run here at Monmouth. So, yeah, I'll take the number 3 again, redistricting. I was super excited to bet. I thought he was single in the early portions of the card there at Saratoga last week. So, yeah, I'll take him here. Tougher race, there's no doubt about it. Got to beat some horses like Masterpiece. That's pretty good. Signator's not bad. King Max. You got to be a little bit better field. But yeah, give me the 3 here. I think he gets the job done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tougher race, I guess, in some regards. But I mean, it's really a lot of these like Masterpiece is Masterpiece is 9 years old, bro. Like,
yeah,
he's 9. Like, I think a lot of these horses are just decent, not great. I think the 3 needs that class relief, and I think even though this isn't necessarily, an allowance race, but it is certainly easier than the Turf Classic that he ran in last out, where Spirit of St. Louis beat him. So, I think he's going to be tough here. He's never won at this distance, which I guess is really my only question mark at the mile and 8th. But again, it's tough because the mile and 8th races he's ran in were grade 1, grade 2 races, So I think, the class relief mixed win with, and I like the fact that Chad's like, hey, you know what? We scratched there. Let's take him to Monmouth. We'll take him to Monmouth. We got horses running there. Give me the 3 redistricting. I like him quite a bit here in what I would still call somewhat class relief. All right, let's go to race 10, the Salvador Mile Stakes, grade 3, 1 mile, 150K for 3-year-olds and up. Field of 9 lines up here. And new trainer, same jockey. Are we going Pratt 3 races in a row? Bishop's Bay for Brad Cox. Your outside horse. You're 6-5. Pretty clear favorite.
Yeah, I really want to try to beat him, but I don't know who does it. That's the problem, right? Like, I really don't want to bet Bishop's Bay
I know.
at that low of a price, but kind of feel like I have to because I just don't see anybody that in here that can kind of beat him. Tuscan Sai is a second choice. I don't want to back that horse. Trademark way over the hill for me. So I went Bishop's Bay. I just couldn't find anybody else in this. And look, he's been running very well since coming back off the layoff. So give me Bishop's Bay.
Yeah, I pretty much the same exact kind of mindset I had. I was like,
Yeah.
I really saw him. I mean, it's like, honestly, I saw the name. I'm like, I'm going to try to beat him, Bishop's Bay, and then I go through the race. I'm like, no, Tuscan Sky, no, I you fall back to Pratt and Bishop's Bay and listen, like I like drawing outside isn't maybe ideal sometimes for a speed horse. He has shown that he can rate, and I say rate very lightly, like he can sit right off of it. So I do think if someone wants to go to his inside, he can sit a nice trip. Pratt is, and you kind of look at the 3 back. He set off early, and then then he took over. His speed the last 3 races has just been his biggest weapon, and so I do think he's just going to be awfully tough to beat, really. So I got the 9. Unfortunately, I hate to say unfortunately, but I hate to pick favorites every race, but it just definitely has that feel for these first 3.
Yeah.
See if we keep going with it. Halterman, race number 11, the Eatontown Stakes, grade 3, 150. Going to 1 with 16th miles on the turf for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Field of 7 lines up here. And I guess the question for you goes, number 1, Maggie Go for, hey, Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt, your 8-5 favorite. Are you going to try to beat him?
Yeah, I'll take a little shot here just to say I took a shot, but it's not much. It's just, I'm going to go the number 2, 5 Towns. I really like this horse, 5 Towns. And look, it's one of those things. I think this horse could easily be the favorite. It wouldn't shock me. But a couple of nice races off the layoff here, really good time form numbers as well. A horse that has struggled to win, obviously 5 straight losses, but I think has found a pretty good spot here. Maggie Go, like you said, it's coming in from overseas. I don't know what this horse will be like. So give me 5 Towns.
All right. Well, you know what? You won't chalk out. I will. I'll chalk out the whole Monmouth card. I'll go number 1, Maggie Go. Listen, I mean, if all just you keep backing Flavian and Chad Brown, not a bad thing to do at Monmouth.
Yeah.
But this is a horse that has been running in Group 1, Group 2 races overseas and winning or running well in all of them. We know what his training status does with first-time starters over here. Hits at 32%. Not, he gets them ready. And I think there's certain horses I don't like to chase when it comes to his first starters. This is one that, and I should say as well, a spot that feels like he's going to run well here. A lot of these, you say in these last races, I went and watched a couple of them, and then you see the form, full of run, finished well. Like, I just feel like this is a horse been running 6 furlongs in a mile. Mile 16th stretches out here. I think the horse is going to come with his kind of, quote unquote, Chad Brown late kick. So give me the 1, the filly, Maggie Go. Hey, if you pick me a combo of Chad Brown and Pratt, like, there's worse you could do, I guess. So give me this feels like the type of horse that makes sense, right? When you agree, like it's not Saratoga grade 1, it's a lighter graded stakes race at Monmouth Park.
Yep. That's I would agree with that. That it feels like let's see what we got in this horse.
Yeah, I
before
mean, you could
do
see the. I mean, I think it's very likely you could see the horse next out at Saratoga, right?
Yep. Mhm.
But it definitely feels like a horse that, hey, let's see what it is, and see if this horse is any good overseas or from overseas here. But yeah, give me the Chad Brown there. Let's go to Santa Anita for the last one, race 10, the Daytona Stakes. It's a grade 3, 100K, about 6.5 furlongs on that downhill turf for 3-year-olds and up. Field of 8 lined up here. Motorious, your 6-5 favorite. What you got?
Yeah, I'll try to play against Motorius here, not to chalk out again. He'll probably win easy. I'll go number 3, Goliad. I think Goliad is loose on the lead. I think he's going to run much better today than he did last time out off that long layoff. He's 8 years old. I think he needed a race. I think Goliad will be tough. I think that's the one they're going to have to catch. I think he has got the class to kind of sneak away from him here. So, just a pace play here, hoping Goliad gets the lead. And what looks like, again, he looks clear to me. And then hopefully Motorius gets a little bit too far back and Goliad can hold him off.
Like when you go, like, if you're around like a bunch of old people and you're just like, man, I feel so spry and young. Like I can't even be around all these old people all the time, all day. Like, look at the 5, the young horse of the bunch. And this group here, guys, the average age is like 7, 8, 7, 4, 7, 7, 5. Those are the ages of these horses. It's like the senior citizen home right now. Yep. Give me the 5, Stay Hot at 6-1. This horse to me feels like the one, like the now horse, the one that's running well. Now, we haven't seen the horse since December, but look at the way the horse ran to end the year. Consistent running this race. He's got 3 wins and 6 starts at Santa Anita, 1 for 1 at the distance. Give me the hot horse, and really the youngest by a lot. The 5, Stay Hot. Give me the young horse here. I mean, when you look at the group, you're like, holy shit, look at these horses.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I like a bunch. Like Brand, I think is interesting, but like they're either coming off long layoffs, longish layoffs, or they're ancient. So yeah, to me, I'm taking a shot. Well, it's not really a shot, 6-1, but decent shot.
It's a decent enough shot.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Check us out over at racingdudes.com for our free picks and our premium selections on our products page. Click the Get Racing Dudes premium button at the menu at racingdudes.com to learn more. Remember, we're on Twitter at racing_dudes, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off by visiting our podcast page, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to. We are there, as well as YouTube. If you haven't done it already, go over to YouTube and hit that like, notification button, and subscribe, because we have so much content headed your way. Dudes Who Bet was on last night. Magic Mike coming up later. What are you guys talking about on Magic Mike?
We are going to Santa Anita because we are worried about rain, and we did a show last week that didn't exist because they they canceled races, and so we just wasted our time. So we're going to Santa Anita, where we know we will be on the turf.
Where'd you say you were going? You were going to go?
We were going to go to like Monmouth or Naira, but it looked like rain might happen again.
Gotcha.
So
rain?
Yeah.
That's all it does. It's supposed to rain here later.
Of course. It rains every day here. So
it's like,
it's suppressing.
It really is. It doesn't, I mean, I don't know if we flew out of Saratoga. By the way, it was raining when we left on Monday. Mm-hmm. Got to Charlotte. Guess what? It was raining in Charlotte. We got home. It was actually nice for a day, but yeah, all it does is rain. It's like you look at the forecast, it's like, well, it looks great today. Tomorrow, rain. But hey, we're here.
Yep,
we're live, and guarantee you, we'll be bitching about no rain come August. So that's for sure. That's what Missouri and a lot of the Midwest is like. But all right, guys. It's been a fun Triple Crown. It's been an insane one, really, trying to cover this, and it's been fun to cover it with you guys. But we appreciate everybody that's been hanging out with us over the last 6 weeks, I guess now, as we've gone over the Triple Crown. Hopefully we helped make some money, or if you didn't make money, hopefully you didn't lose too much. Yeah, and have money heading into the week or into the summer racing. But until next time, guys, I'm Jared Welch, he's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.